So imagine you have a discussion post assignment where you want students to describe 2 pros and 2 cons of using AI in college classes. I'm going to show you how to use Flex's assessment tool to help you draft some feedback here. So what I've done is I've just pasted in a student submission to this response to this assignment here. I'm going to go down. I'm going to pick whether I want concise or detailed feedback, and you'll be able to see that you've got a couple different options here. There's also some sort of feedback on what kind of areas of improvement do you want to ask students questions, sort of Socratic method for giving them feedback, or do you want to offer them more prescriptive recommendations? And then I'm going to click the assess button. It's going to go look at my rubric, which we'll talk about in just a second, and then it's going to give me some feedback to work from. So you can see here, the tool has given the students a 1 out of 4 here. And that's because we can see that they demonstrated an understanding that AI has pros and cons, but they didn't provide a thorough analysis and with specific examples and detailed explanations to support their point. So if we look at the actual submission here, this looks like a response that could use some more effort. Using AI has good and bad things. It's new, it can help with learning. Obviously, there's not a lot of depth and a lot of detail. If I compare that to another response, let's see about this one here. This one's going to have a little bit more depth. I'll save that one. I'll click the assess button, and we'll see that we should get a little higher score here. So here we get 3 out of 4 points, and it talks about what they did well. And then it needed to provide a little more depth and some more specific examples. Now, one of the other nice things about this tool is you can go in here, you can edit it however you like. So if I wanted to just remove this section here and just combine this into one paragraph, I can. I can also click the copy button. It's automatically copied to my clipboard, and I can paste this into my LMS. So that is how to get automatic assessment and feedback working. Let me show you where you define the rubric and how I got to this stage. So I'm going to go back to Flex itself here. I'm just going to clear this chat. I'm going to start all over just so you can see how I got here. And Flex is going to give me a sense of what it can do. And then I'm going to say, oh, okay, I want some help with grading and assessment. So I want option number 8 down here. So I'll just say option 8. And then it's going to say, okay, do you want to create a rubric or grade assignments? We just looked at the grading assignments component. So let's go look at the rubric piece. So the rubric that we define is what's used by the assessment tool here. And we can see that I've got a default rubric here. You will have a default rubric as well, but it's just a sample. So you'll want to go in there and modify and edit it. And it looks a lot like the rubric that you would find in a learning management system. You have pretty much all the same functionality as what you would have in a learning management system. You can have multiple criteria. Here I just have one criteria, but you can have multiple criteria, and then each criteria can have different rating levels. I can make them specific numbers, or I can make them ranges, whatever you want. And then you can just define what goes into each of these rating criteria and goes into this rubric. The more explicit you are, the more objective your rubric is, the more accurate the grading and assessment will be, as well as the feedback. So one of the things I like to do is provide examples to the AI system in terms of what's a high quality result, what's a medium quality, what's fair, what's poor, etc. Now, those you can provide those to students if you want to as well, but certainly to the AI, it's great if you can give them an example and it will perform just a little more accurately for you. Okay, so great. You save this, and that's it. Once you create your rubric, now you start ready to do your assessments. Of course, it's not necessarily trivial to create a rubric, so I want to show you that rubric generation process. So I can actually go back to exec here, and I can say, oh, hey, I want help drafting a rubric. So I want help creating a rubric for a discussion assignment where I ask students to give me 2 pros and 2 cons of using AI in college classes. the rubric should have, let's say, 2 criteria. It should have one for quality of submission and the other for grammar. Each criteria should have 4 rating levels. Provide detailed, objective explanations for each rating level, as well as an example for each rating level. All right, so I can give this to Flex and it should automatically start working on it. If it has any questions for me, it will ask me those questions. Otherwise, it will give me something to work from. So here we go. So I've got my rubric ready. It's got my different levels of quality submission. So it's got my explanation and an example for quality of submission. For good, it's got the same thing, fair, poor, and then it's got a different criteria for grammar that it's denoted right here. So in order to get this into my grading tool, all I need to do is just go back into my rubric. Here, I'm just going to clear this out, clear rubric, and then I can start building these. So I can add a criterion. I can say this is quality of submission. I can say it's out of 4 points. And then for the long description, I can just actually copy the excellent description in here for the long description here. And then I'll just go in and I'll edit each of these. So this is going to be out of 4 points. That's what I want. I'm just going to have it. I'm not going to put a range in for this one. Put a 4, and I'll put that same excellent response in here. And then I'll do the same thing for this here. And I'll go take in my good example here and save that. Okay, so let me finish this and I'll show you kind of what it looks like at the end. All right, so here we go. We've got our rubric built in here. I've got my quality of submission and my grammar. And then if I go back to my assessment page here, and then I can drop in a response here. This is a higher quality response. And with my brand new rubric, I click the assess button and you'll see that it will pick up that new rubric automatically. And in this case, it's giving 4 out of 4 for both of these, as well as some detailed feedback. So yeah, we hope that you are able to give this a shot, and we'd love your feedback on what works and what doesn't. We're always looking to improve. So yeah, let us know how your automatic assessment draft goes using Flex. Cheers.